Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We chant from verses 6 to 10 of chapter 3. Karmendriyani sanyamya,
Karmendriyani sanyamya,
ya aste manasa smaran,
ya aste manasa smaran,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
yastvindriyani manasa,
yastvindriyani manasa,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
karmendriyai karmayogam,
Karmendriyai karma yogam,
asakta savishishyate,
asakta savishishyate,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
karmajyayo hyakarmanaha,
karmajayo hyakarmanaha,
sharirayatra pichate,
sharirayatra pichate,
na prasidhyeda karmanaha,
na prasiddhyeda karmanaha,
yajñarthat karmanonyatra,
यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र
lokoyam karma bandhanaha,
लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः
tadartham karma kaunteya,
तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय
mukta sangha samachara,
मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर
सह यज्ञाः प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा
सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
अनेन प्रसविष्यद्वम्
अनेन प्रसविष्यद्वम्
येषवोऽस्त्विष्टकामधुक्
येषवोऽस्त्विष्टकामधुक्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So, in the last session, we were seeing the impact of communicating in a direct way. Now, in most of the cases, remember, it is the indirect communication which will work. Because, as I told you, the nature of the mind is to resist orders. When a student approaches a master will give direct instructions to the student only if the student surrenders fully. Because the moment a direct instruction is given, the ego within a student will get hurt. And when the ego gets hurt, that can influence the mind in a negative way. It can make the mind resist to whatever instructions are being given. As the student does a lot of sadhana and purifies the personality, which means purification means the ego is handled. And when the student reaches a very advanced level, thereafter, whether it is direct communication or indirect communication, all these things will not matter. Because the student becomes so attuned to the master at an advanced level that when an indirect communication is made, that is also taken as a direct message. The student is so much aware, so attuned to the master, that every move which the master makes teaches the student. The student goes on absorbing. See, what I am talking about is an ideal situation. That is what a master-student relationship should mature into, should flower into. But that cannot happen right at the beginning, because the master is one who is attuned to the infinite, whereas the student is caught up with the finite, and the ego is very prominent to start with. But if you go to the Upanishads, you will find that the attunement between the student and the master is at a different level, is at the highest level actually. And that is why the masters put the students through rigorous tests before giving advanced empowerments, the master may discourage the student. The master may say, better you don't attend. I'm talking of advanced empowerments. The master may give very, very tough tasks for the student to complete. He may say, you finish this and come, then I'll give you the empowerment. Or sometimes the master may deliberately act in a way which can offend the student. This is very interesting. This may surprise you a bit, but sometimes the masters do that because they are testing the student. How much of trust do they have? How much of attunement do they have? Are they being non-judgmental? When a student passes all these tests, then the advanced level empowerments are given. Invariably, if 100 students approach a master, the majority will fall. They will not be able to pass these tests, because the functioning of the ego, the functioning of the deeper mind is not known to the individual. When the ego starts influencing the mind, the danger there is that you will not be aware of it. By the time you become aware, already the damage would have been done. The moment you start becoming judgmental, now you will not know that. So it is 1 in 100, I'm talking of percentage wise, who may be able to pass through these tough tests and then receive the higher empowerments. Why? Because that much amount of purity is required to receive that blast of energy. So in one of the Upanishads, when the student goes to a master, after many, many months or probably years of search, having found an enlightened person, the student asks, what is beyond all this? In other words, what the student is asking is for Brahma Vidya. To which the master tells him, ask me after 1 year. You can imagine the student has left everything, exposed himself to tremendous risks in the wild forests and all that. And then he approaches the master, and the master just coolly says, ask me after 1 year. No more questions can be asked after that. So the student continues to stay there. He keeps on serving the master for 1 year. The master doesn't even recognize his service. Still, the student just continues. But actually, it's not that the master does not recognize. He is only testing whether the student is of that stuff. Is he capable of withstanding the power of the higher empowerments? So in that 1 year, silently, without the student's knowledge, the master keeps giving healing. And the student also very patiently, in a very humble way, just hangs around there. And after 1 year, he again asks the master, same question. And this time, without saying anything, the master continues. This comes in one of the Upanishads, a very enlightening incident. what is the level of the master and what is the level of the student also. That is being demonstrated there. So once a student reaches that kind of a level, thereafter the communication between the master and the student is direct and simple, no wasting time. And even if a master communicates indirectly, the student receives it directly because he is advanced to that level. That is the beauty. Now, when we take Arjuna, he has not come up to that level. The Upanishadic student level is a very advanced level. Arjuna was a very pure person relatively. He was a very good person and he had a lot of affection for Krishna. He was willing to go through this process of surrender. All these things were there. But the play of ego was still there. And that is why Krishna very carefully communicates. Otherwise, as I told you in one of the earlier sessions, how long does it take for a master to communicate this wisdom? It will hardly take so much time. But how long does it take for the student to receive that wisdom fully? That depends upon how purified the student's personality is. So when a student is very tamasic, let us say the tamasic guna, laziness, stubbornness, all these things are very much prevalent in a student. Now, the communication from a master will be very less. The reason is, if the master communicates indirectly, the student will definitely miss it because he is in a state of tamas. If the master communicates directly, now the student will not follow it because he is very lazy. So in such cases, the master does not put any effort to communicate. He waits till the student takes up the responsibility for his or her life. See, when you go and surrender to a master, the master is not going to take responsibility for your life. You alone have to take that responsibility. You should be willing to put in that effort. You should be seeking that positive transformation, positive change. That is overcoming all the negative forces within and increasing the positive energy. So you should be prepared for all that. If you are unwilling to take up the responsibility, the master will not guide. So both these forms of communications, indirect and direct, doesn't work on a tamasic person. In the same chapter, later on, he'll be covering the three types of desires. Very interesting, tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. He'll be indicating that. He says, as an example for the tamasic nature, it's like the womb covering the embryo, he says. Now, what can you do? You just have to wait for 10 months till the baby comes out. Then only you can do anything. So similarly, the master just waits. So one is, you should have the intention to grow, to take guidance. The other is you should also have the intention to put an effort. That is where the tamas can come and be a block. So Arjuna does not belong to the tamasic category, that is for sure. He was basically a Kshatriya, very, very dynamic. He was a go-getter. He was an achiever in life. In order to achieve something in life, you should have conquered tamas, laziness, and stubbornness and all these things. Now, Arjuna was predominantly rajasic in nature. So when a student is rajasic, that is where all these complications come. The student is very sincere. Arjuna was sincere when he was asking Krishna for guidance. He wants to put in the effort. He wants to grow. He wants to get purified. But for a rajasic person, the ego will also be very active. That is the whole issue. A rajasic person will be very sensitive. Sensitive means he will get affected very easily. See, if a person is not affected by anything, it means he is tamasic or he is enlightened. That possibility will rule out. So it means that person is very tamasic. When a person is getting affected by everything, it means he has moved out of tamas and he has grown into rajas. Arjuna was of that nature. He was sincerely seeking advice, but he had certain blocks. He was not even aware of those blocks. Krishna was fully aware of what blocks Arjuna had, but Arjuna himself was not aware. So here, the master faces this situation where a student is sincere, wants to put an effort, wants to develop, but at the same time has certain blocks which are preventing him or her from receiving the wisdom. Then what does the master do? He very, very carefully distributes his communication between the two modes. We are talking of verbal communication here. The indirect method and the direct method. Actually, in the indirect method, non-verbal communication is also included, but in this context here, with respect to this verse, we are talking more about verbal communication. So, the master keeps communicating in an indirect way, wherein the student feels more comfortable, because directly the ego is not hurt. See, what do we mean by the ego getting hurt? Supposing, let us say, there are 5 people in a room. Now you are also there. If a joke is cracked on one of those 5 people, now all others will laugh, including you. But if the same joke is cracked on you, now others will laugh, but you will feel hurt. The joke being the same, what is the difference? Here the ego is getting hurt, there the ego is not getting hurt. So, the master communicates this wisdom in an indirect way as if he is talking of someone else. When Arjuna asked him, Tadekam vada, give me one straight answer. Now, am I to gain knowledge or what am I to do? This is confusing. Am I to get into action? What should I do? He said, Lokesmin dvividha nishtha. Means in this world there are 2 paths. The the path of the Sankhya Yoga for the Sankhyas and Karma Yoga for the yogis, as if he's talking of someone else. So the whole idea there is that Arjuna's ego will not get hurt. When he said the person who restrains his senses externally but who is mentally indulging, mithyachara sauchyate, such a person is called a hypocrite. Again, he is putting it as if it is being as if he is referring to someone else, not directly to Arjuna. So Arjuna is also listening to that as if it's a story, but actually Krishna is talking about his own personality. Otherwise, see, Krishna is directly talking to Arjuna only, no? But he makes it look as if it is indirect, as if he is talking about someone else. This is a beautiful method of communication without hurting another person's ego. How do you get your message across? A master genuinely is very good at this. In Tamil there is a saying, proverb. They say, வாழைப்பழத்தில் ஊசி ஏற்றுற மாதிரி, which means you take a banana and you pierce a needle inside it and then give it to a person. The person will consume the banana, along with it the needle also. So that is the indirect communication. So why does the master put this effort? Because fundamentally the student is willing to take guidance, willing to put the effort, all that is there. Just that those blocks are there. In the previous session, I explained to you about few important blocks. Now, as the student is listening to this wisdom as if it is meant for someone else, but one part of the student is also absorbing the message, because there is no direct threat to the ego. So the mind keeps on absorbing. So when the student is very relaxed, suddenly the master pushes his message in a direct way when the student least expects it. Pushes, it means pushes the message into the student's subconscious mind. Before the student can realize what has happened, again the master will come to the indirect communication. This is a very, very careful way of communicating. All this effort the master is putting only for the benefit of the student. The master stands nothing to gain by all this. Keeping the benefit of the student in mind, seeing the sincerity of the student, wanting to help the student in the maximum possible way, the master goes through all this pain of using these two modes of communication very, very carefully. Otherwise, it is just a matter of few moments, few minutes, directly just tell and go. So actually, if the student is very sincere, the master can go, or will go, I would say, to any extent in order to help the student. He will only see whether the student is sincere or not. Everybody will have some block or other. If you are already free of all blocks, then you have reached a very high stage. So that is not of any concern, because the master has enough subtlety. he has got enough tools to work on all the blocks which may manifest within a student during his or her inner journey. That is not an issue. With the sincerity, is the student sincere or not? If the student is tamasic, unwilling to take the responsibility, then the master cannot do anything. So this is the second level, which is exactly what we are seeing here in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna will keep on giving indirect messages. Throughout the Gita, we'll see the same thing. And suddenly when Arjuna is engrossed in this wisdom, he is receiving everything in an indirect way, he is relaxed, almost, it's a borderline, he is almost asleep. At that time, Krishna pushes a message in directly. And again, he'll come back to the indirect method. This is a very, very beautiful way of communicating. See, what you can understand from this is how much the master is caring for the student. As I told you, what does Krishna, see, if you take the context of the Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna have to gain if Arjuna receives this wisdom? Nothing. Even if Arjuna wins this war, Krishna is not going to get anything. It is Arjuna who will be getting the kingdom. So much of care, so much of unconditional love a master has. And he is putting all these efforts, he is going through all this pain so that the student is fully benefited. A true master is always like that. Then comes the third type of students. I told you that, Sattvic, predominantly Sattvic. I gave you the example of the Upanishadic level student. Now, the student does a lot of sadhana and purifies the personality to such an extent where he does not judge the master at all. He becomes very, very attentive and alert. He becomes totally attuned to the frequency of the master. He becomes very much single-pointed in his journey. He becomes very humble. He understands the greatness, the true greatness of the master, the greatness of the infinite. See, in this case, Arjuna has not yet understood the full greatness of Krishna. He is only seeing him as a friend, a philosopher, someone who can guide him. At this stage, it is only later on as Krishna keeps giving him a vision of what his spiritual depth is, that Arjuna begins to realize that. So when a student comes up to that level where he is fully in tune with the master, thereafter the master relaxes actually. The master does not put any effort, any special effort to communicate, because the student is constantly receiving. There the master does not put any effort to communicate. The student knows how to get this infinite wisdom from the master. Just by observing the master, the student learns. Just by listening to the master, the student learns. By observing the actions of the master, the student is able to penetrate and understand the principles. The student has become so attuned, so subtle, that the master relaxes. He just is attuned to the infinite and he keeps radiating that supreme energy in a very effortless way, knowing fully well that the student is fully receiving. That is a very, very high and subtle level of Guru-Shishya relationship. The communication at that level is automatic, is effortless. No thinking is required, no planning is required. It is spontaneous. See, if you go to the Upanishads, it's very interesting. The Upanishadic master never wants to teach, but the student wants to learn fully. So there, the student kind of forces the master to teach because the master has no choice. When such a purified student, a student with a very purified mind comes, now the master has to teach. And the teaching happens automatically, effortlessly. The master is just at his level. He does not have to put any effort to come down to the student's level, because the student has worked himself up and come up to the master's level. So he can just be himself and he can keep radiating the infinite Shakti, the infinite energy, and the student fully absorbs it. That is the highest level of communication. Highest level of communication ever possible. So as sadhaks, what is the message which we are getting here? We need to move from tamas to rajas. First show the intention. Take responsibility for your life. And then keep on doing sadhana and purifying yourself so that you can come to that stage where the communication happens automatically. There is a natural communication between the guru and the student. The guru Shakti just flows. You know, in the Katha Upanishad, when the young boy, 5-year-old boy Nachiketas, when he approaches Lord Yama, he wants to know what is the secret of death. He wanted the Brahma Vidya. When he went to meet Lord Yama, he thought, if I want to know what is beyond death, what is the secret of death, whom should I approach? Best is the god of death. Lord Yama is the god of death. So he went directly there. And at that point, Lord Yama was not there. He had gone out. So for 3 days and 3 nights, Nachiketas just waited in the corridor. And when Yama came, when he saw this boy waiting, he went in via the back door. Because he asked his assistant, how long has this boy been waiting? He is, to make a Brahmin boy wait is a big sin. Here, Brahmin, Kshatriya, all these things are not by birth. Please understand this. I have already mentioned it in one of the contexts earlier. I think it was in the first chapter. Now, later on, when we come to those verses where Krishna does talk about the Varna system, I will explain it more clearly. As of now, what you need to understand is Brahmin, Kshatriya, all these divisions were not based on birth. By birth, everyone is equal. It is only based on qualities, gunas, and one's actions. So, one who is highly sattvic, that's what Yama referred to, and he said, I have made him wait for 3 days, 3 nights. So he calls the boy and says, since you waited for 3 days, I'll give you 3 boons. You ask. And the first boon the boy asked is, when I came to meet you, my father was very disturbed because he was afraid what's going to happen to my son. So I want you to put his mind at ease, give him that, remove the stress. So that is indicative of the first duty which you have towards the parents, towards one's family. If you're married, means towards your spouse, towards your children. So all that is indicative of that. Then Yama says tathastu. The second boon which Nachiketas asks is that teach me the principle of yajna. Yajna means sacrifice, serving the society. Actually, we are going to see that in the coming verses. Krishna is going to give the secret of service. What is yajna? We'll be seeing that. It is very interesting. So that also Lord Yama teaches. So that is the second duty. My first duty is towards my family. The second duty is towards the society. So he learns that. And the most interesting part is Lord Yama is so happy with Nachiketas because he was one of the best students. So he takes a necklace which he was wearing and he puts it on Nachiketas' neck. He says, you're the best student I've ever had. Why? Because Nachiketas was at that highest level of sattva. Every little move which Yama was making, Nachiketas was learning something. And then came the third boon. He said, I want to know the secret of death. Teach me Brahma Vidya, the highest, the wisdom of the infinite. Now here, Yama was taken aback because he didn't expect that from a 5-year-old boy. Then how am I to teach him? Let me put him to test. Even at that level, he was tested. So Lord Yama tempted him with so many things. He said, do you want wealth? I'll give you all the wealth. I'll give you fame. I'll give you name. In one portion he says, I'll give you a mantra. That is, I'll give you a way by which you can fulfill all your desires. Nachiketas never fell for any of these temptations. He was very, very clear. Very famous. He said, Tavai Vaha means you keep all this. I want Brahma Vidya. I've come here for this. See, that is a single pointed focus. And when he saw that Nachiketas was completely attuned, he was completely ready, he gave him the highest diksha. It is the science and art of detaching the soul consciousness from the physical body, which is what we normally call as death. But the yogic method, the meditation was taught to him. If you read those verses, you will not get anything. It is only when we approach it through this yogic approach, you can get the deeper meditation method. So that was taught, that secret was taught by Yama to Nachiketas. So that, see, once Nachiketas proved his purity, thereafter Yama had no choice. He had to give him. That is the level of communication, the highest level of communication. So as sadhaks, we should keep on improving our level by doing the sadhana, by purifying our own minds, by getting out of the clutches of ego. Only then that perfect attunement will be there. See, sometimes the ego can play so many tricks, You may resist or you may refrain from asking for guidance from the master under the garb of saying, oh, I don't want to disturb him. See, your duty as a student, if you have a question, if you have a problem, is to ask. Now, how the answer will come, that depends on the master. He may give it in an indirect way in one of the sessions. He may give it in a direct way. That isn't all up to him. Sometimes when you're doing your sadhana, suddenly the answer will strike. Remember, the Guru Shakti has given you the answer. But it is your duty to seek guidance. But there also again the ego can come. Oh, why should I waste his time? Am I disturbing him? All that is a play of ego. Remember that. Till you move from tamas to rajas and from rajas to sattva, this ego play will be there. So what can save a sadhak is that sincerity, that intention, taking responsibility for one's life and say, here, this is what my ultimate goal is, and I will do whatever it takes to progress. Then only the communication is possible. So, niyatam kuru karmatvam, tvam kuru, you do. What amount of confidence the master has on the student to give him a direct instruction. How is it that the master trusts the student? That is, he has faith in the potential of a student. How is it? Because the master sees the entire creation as nothing but a manifestation of that one supreme infinite divinity. So everyone has come from God only. So the student is also potentially divine. The master recognizes that, and he is trying to awaken the student. He is trying to make that potential into a reality. So whether the student is sincere or not, the master is always sincere, 100%. When it is a tamasic student, it is only for convenience that the master stops for a while. But his sincerity to guide is always there. And when the student is rajasic, he goes through all this pain of different modes of communication. And when the student becomes sattvic, the master settles down and gives him the highest energy, the highest wisdom. So much of sincerity, so much of trust the master has on the student. That is why last week I told you, work on building that trust on yourself, that self-confidence. When you move with the master, what happens is your own self-confidence will keep on increasing because the master will keep activating that. You may feel, no, I cannot do something, but the master will forcefully say, sometimes he may say forcefully, sometimes he may say in a gentle way, but he will be trying to inject that energy from outside to activate that self-confidence from within. So you should go on doing your sadhana, you should keep taking guidance from the master till your self-confidence level comes to such an extent where one day the master will just tell you, you are the infinite, and with full confidence you will accept it, and that moment you will get enlightened. Actually, the whole communication is that only. You are the infinite. There is nothing more to communicate. Why are we having these Sunday sessions week after week? Because that is the highest level of communication, not so easy to absorb. If you can have full confidence in yourself and in the words of the master, then it happens like a flash. Enlightenment happens spontaneously. You know, in the Guru Purnima, the yogic sadhana of Guru Purnima, we chant that Guru Stotram, no? In that, there is a beautiful verse, beautiful sloka. Dhyana moolam guror murti, puja moolam guror padam, mantra moolam guror vakyam, moksha moolam guror kripa. Dhyana moolam guror murti. That is the first level of attunement. Murti means the form of the Guru is my object of meditation, says the student. It's a direction given to the student. Form of the Guru is to start with. See, when nobody is at that level where you can get attuned to the formless straight away. So you start your practices by getting inspired by a Guru. So naturally, the form of the Guru is my dhyana, he says. But the beauty there is, as the student keeps progressing, the form becomes subtler and subtler. Initially, he will relate to the Guru at the physical way. Then the student will see that the Guru actually is beyond this physical body. He'll start relating to the Guru in a more emotional way. Then he'll relate to the Guru's clarity, knowledge. But slowly he'll begin to realize that the Guru is beyond body, emotions, clarity and all this. And he will begin to see that the Guru actually represents the Guru Shakti, the force, which is attuned, which is an aspect of the infinite. So the dhyana moolam gurur murti. Then the infinite becomes the dhyana, the object of dhyana. It's a thing. I'm not getting into that fully here in this context. I'm only going to the third line, mantra moolam gurur vakyam. So dhyana moolam gurur murti, puja moolam gurur padam. The feet of the Guru is for me to worship. Feet means his path. See, with the feet, what do? You travel, right? Whatever path the Guru has traveled, I worship that. Then mantra moolam gurur vakyam. This is what. When a student comes up to that level, very, very advanced level of attunement, then what is the mantra? Anything which the Guru says becomes the mantra for the student. It directly enters and purifies the student's personality. At that level, moksha moolam gurur kripa. It is with the grace of that Guru Shakti, that supreme Guru, that we can attain the moksha. So all that the Guru has to say is, you are the infinite. Just Om, one chant of Om is enough. The student is catapulted to that highest state. So from the lowest level of communication, you need to reach the highest level of communication. So Tvam Kuru shows to what level a master can go, what all ways, different ways the master can try to uplift the student. So then it becomes a great responsibility for the student to uplift himself or herself. When another person is putting so much of effort for my upliftment, then how much more responsibility should I have? How much more effort should I put in? Automatically, the student starts becoming very, very focused in the path. See, this is the work of a master. Why do they say in the scriptures that without a guru you cannot progress spiritually? There is a reason behind it. So many reasons. One of the reasons is this. So, Tvam kuru, that is what we saw last week. I asked you to focus on those two words, you do. So the moment you focus on that, you realize that you have a tremendous capacity within you. Don't take this as a direct message which Krishna gave Arjuna. Take it as a direct message for you. Tvam means, whom is he referring to as Tvam? Tvam means you. Who is that you? It is actually you. Don't say it is Arjuna. That is for, academically it is Arjuna. But here we are talking of the yogic approach. We are talking of the sadhana which you should do with this. That can happen only if you take it as a direct message for yourself. And the Lord Himself is asking you to do something, practice something. It means you as a human being, you have that capacity to do it. When you don't have a capacity to do it, He is not going to ask you to do anything. You will not go and call a person whom you feel that person doesn't have any capacity to do that particular task. Will you tell him to do it? No. The moment you tell someone to do something, it means you have the faith that that person has the capacity. So the moment you focus on Tvam Kuru, all your potential starts manifesting. You become a very powerful sadhak when you absorb that message there. The trust, the faith which the master has on the student makes the student very strong. See, when you move with people, when you generate a tremendous positive energy towards another person, that will make the other person very strong. Especially parents should make a note of this. When they bring up their children, they should first believe their children. They should first trust their children's ability. If you don't trust your child's ability, who will trust? And your very trust, your very confidence will transform them, will build that base, will build that foundation for their success. That is the power here. Tvam Kuru. Now what is he asking you to do? Niyatam karma. So it's very beautifully, poetically put. Niyatam kuru karma tvam. So if we put it in the prose form, Tvam kuru niyatam karma. See, in Sanskritam language, we can put the verb and the noun and all interchangeably. We can use them interchangeably. Still, the meaning will be same. That gives the poetic beauty to bring that meter. This is poetry. To fit into the meter, it helps so much. So, niyatam karma is what he is asking you to do, the direct message. So, karma generally means action. Niyatam karma means obligatory action. Niyatam means that which ought to be done. It has to be done. We are talking of obligations. In the layman's language, we say duty. But it is not merely duty. I'll cover that point to start with because this is very important. Niyatam karma means action which ought to be done. Prescribed action. Who is prescribing that action? Nature. See, if you see the entire nature, every aspect of nature is doing this niyatam karma. A flower is meant to bloom. It blooms. A rose is meant to give fragrance. It gives fragrance. A woodpecker is meant to peck wood. It does that. You see, every aspect of nature is in perfect harmony and it is doing its niyatam karma. Whatever it is ordained to do, ordained by nature. Same way, as a human being, you have certain niyatam karmas to be done. This ancient wisdom actually helps you to find out what you are supposed to do in life. Again, when I say supposed to do in life, it is not that someone else is coming and saying, no, do this, do that. No. That is what you are meant to do. If you have singing tendencies, you are meant to be a singer. For example, I am saying. If you have the talent for accounts, you are meant to be an accountant. If you have business tendencies, the talent for business, you are meant to do business. Niyatam karma. So what is it that you are meant to do in your life? That is the first thing which you need to find out. I told you, in the previous verse I had covered the 4 purposes of life. Abhivyakti was the first purpose. I told you, I'm just giving all those together. Now in the rest of the verses, he is going to expand on these points only. So this is related to that abhivyakti. So your first question should be, what is my niyatam karma? What am I meant to do in life? What is my relative purpose in life? The ultimate purpose, the ultimate niyatam karma for every human being is to merge with the infinite. Because as a human being, you have that capacity to evolve from the finite to the infinite. That is the ultimate niyatam karma. Absolute niyatam karma. Niyatam karma at absolute level. Now, you can't start with that. That is common for everyone. But relatively, what is your niyatam karma? What are you meant to do in life? That you need to find out. Now, this direct instruction is only meant for a human being. No other creature requires this instruction because it is designed to do its niyatam karma. You don't need to ask a woodpecker, now, please, you should follow your niyatam karma, please peck wood. You don't need to say all that. You don't need to ask, that is, ask means instruct. You don't need to instruct a cuckoo to sing. Listen, you are meant for that, sing. You don't need to instruct a rose to bloom and give fragrance, or a jasmine to bloom and give fragrance. You don't need to instruct a tree to grow and give shade, to yield fruits. The entire nature is designed, has been designed to follow the niyatam karma, the individual niyatam karmas. Now, as a human being, you have been given the choice. So the whole of nature is following this principle of niyatam karma unconsciously, because it is designed in that way. A human being alone has been given the choice of action. And what he is saying is, now use that choice wisely and do your niyatam karma in a conscious way with full awareness. Because it is by doing your niyatam karma with full awareness, with full attention, that you can evolve spiritually. 100% awareness, 100% alertness. That is the key. See, the moment it is said that you have a choice with respect to this, so no other creature has this choice. As a human being, you have the choice, which means you can choose to conform to your niyatam karma, or you can choose to act against your nature. If you choose the latter, you will devolve. If you choose to do your niyatam karma consciously, with full awareness, then you will start evolving. You will start flowering like a rose. Your whole personality will get uplifted. All the inner powers, the infinite powers which are right now lying dormant within your personality, will start manifesting. Your whole life will become extremely meaningful, purposeful. You will never ever get bored. See, today you're so busy, you're so addicted to so many things, to various gadgets, this, that you hardly have time to explore your own self, to find out what it is that you are, what is your nature. The moment you get some spare time, let's say a holiday, now you have nothing else to do, immediately you take up some gadget. You're trying to distract yourself from yourself. You know, it's a common thing people say when they have nothing to do. They say, I'm so bored. Now my question is, bored with whom? You are bored with yourself. Now if you are bored with yourself, then how can you expect other people to find your company interesting? Isn't that absurd? So a spiritual person is never bored with himself or herself. He is self-content because he is one with nature. This is the way. Niyatam karma. Do your obligatory action. Here we have translated it as perform your obligatory action. That which you are meant to do in life. You have come into this world with a distinct nature. You are unique. Manifest that. Focus all your energies with full attention. You act, perform your action, niyatam karma. You will never get bored thereafter. There was a great master who was once having a session, a discourse, and in that he was saying that the highest truth cannot be communicated. That highest experience cannot be communicated. We can only indicate, but we cannot communicate. You have to experience that. Immediately one student asked him, "Sir, if the truth cannot be communicated, then why are you talking?" It's a very valid question. If the truth cannot be communicated, why are you giving this discourse? To which the master's answer was very simple. He said, "Sir, you cannot ask a rose, why are you blooming?" See, it's a very, very deep answer which the master gave. The master was completely attuned to that infinite consciousness. And from there, he's saying, this is the nature manifesting itself. 100% niyatam karma was happening. So if you ask for a purpose there, why you cannot ask a rose, why are you blooming? You cannot ask a cuckoo, why are you singing? So instead of asking why with respect to your nature, find out what your nature is and start acting in the present with full awareness. If your nature is to cook beautifully, give your best there. If your nature is to sing as best as you can. You constantly move away from your niyatam karma because you have an extra exaggerated value for something which is not yours. If you want to practice this niyatam karma, the first practice or the first discipline is to learn to value what you have. The mind has this weakness. It never has any value for what it has. It always has a value for what it does not have. You see, in life, all your stress is because you are always complaining about something which you don't have. If you can turn your attention from what you don't have to what you have, and then put all your efforts in that, your whole life will become transformed. You have a particular talent, a particular tendency, but you don't have value for that. You're comparing yourself with someone else who may be good in something else. And you try to imitate. You try to be that person. You are actually moving away from yourself. When you see a celebrity who has become very famous in his or her field, immediately the mind tries to copy that person. What a foolish thing that is. You may appreciate someone for his or her uniqueness, but why do you now have to copy that person? Whatever hairstyle that person has, now all his followers also try to have. Whatever dress that person wears now becomes a fashion. That person is being true to himself or herself, but you are not. You are moving away from yourself. So, niyatam kuru karmatvam means get attuned to your own self. And when you start performing the sacred sadhana of niyatam karma, now it is a question of time. You will begin to see so many things within you which you have missed all along. You see that there are so many powers within you, and you keep exploring further and further and further, and one day you realize, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that infinite Brahman. The infinite am I, not this finite. This apparently simple sadhana of doing your niyatam karma can actually take you from the finite to the infinite. So much of power is there. Okay, so we'll stop with that here. It's a very inspiring session which we have had today. We'll pause here, take some time to reflect and absorb the energy of what was given. In the next session, we'll go into more depth. What does he mean by niyatam? One dimension was given today, more dimensions will be given. What do we mean by karma? And then he uses the word akarma later on. Very, very interesting. But first, absorb the basic principle of what he's trying to give. Okay. Now we'll do the nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. beyond this physical body, beyond these various emotions and thoughts, lies my supreme infinite self. As a human being, I have been bestowed with the power of choice. I choose to do the sacred sadhana of niyatam karma. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. Such a powerful session it was. That is the power of these words. The direct message. Soak yourself in this wisdom. Some of the points which were given, if you just put your mind, if you apply your mind, and start absorbing them, that will completely purify you. And as I told you, these sessions, including the nididhyasana sessions, are also preparatory sessions for the 22-day empowerment course which we are going to have. Okay. So there's one question which has come regarding the 22-day course which I'll take up today, and that is a few people have asked whether a break can be taken during the session. Avoid too many breaks. So what you can do is you can divide the session into two. One is that discourse part and the other is the empowerment meditation part. So the empowerment meditation will minimum go for 1 hour or even more than that. So just before the meditation, you can pause and you can take a bio break, a short break, and you can always come back. That will help you only. So you can choose that, but don't give 5 to 10 breaks for the whole session just because it is available online. Avoid that. Then the continuity will not be there. Because remember, it is a healing course also. So right from beginning till the end, the healing also is given side by side. Okay. And several others have, those who have enrolled their elderly parents who are bedridden, sometimes children. Now the healing for them also is being given. So even if they are unable to get up from bed, at least play the Yoga Sankirtan once a day for them. Don't play your material. As I told you, each one should have his or her own personal material. You build your energy with that. So get a separate copy for them. You can download and play it for them every day. Whether they are fully conscious or not, that part of it you don't need to worry. Then the healing energy will multiply. Okay? So, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.